In this video, we are going to explore the key tools that will assist in the development of concepts in the style of Andre Chiote. Creating a new file. Open Adobe Illustrator, File, New. Now select a vertical orientation, and you can just keep it at A4 for now and hit OK. We now are going to place an image of our selected design that we will trace. So File, Place. Find that image and select it. The thumbnail onto the artboard, and you'll have this, depending on the size of your image, either an okay size image that fits your A4 format or something that's oversized like this. But now we can change its size. We can do this numerically by going to the top here, which says W and H, height and width. But make sure first we highlight or select the link, so we are making things larger and smaller proportionally. Or you can just key in a particular dimension you want, and I've gone overboard and made something tiny. There are a number of ways of making things bigger and smaller. My preferred way is simply to select the object and then go to the corner holding the shift key and then just drag to the size I'd like. Whenever you modify scale using this method, make sure you always hold down shift, otherwise you'll have a disproportionate enlargement or reduction of that object. Now we'll proceed with the pen tool and trace around the front of this chair. We'll do it relatively accurately, but we'll go back to it once we've done one circuit of it and come back and correct any errors. It's really important that you actually watch the introductory video to using the pen tool before you even attempt this. You'll be frustrated if you don't understand the basic principles of using the pen tool. The handles and the anchor are very important components that once you know what they do, you can be a master of this very, very powerful tool in Illustrator. Let's zoom in and have a look at how we complete a circuit. Always finish where you began. The very first anchor, click onto that, you'll see a little square beside the pen tool and you're done. Now we can start modifying the path using the direct selection tool, clicking on an anchor and then adjusting the handles until we just get it just right. Now we will create a line for the interior of the chair. With the selection tool, let's select both lines. Using swatches, let's change the white to black. Then in paths, let's hide the bottom image layer. To keep track of our work, let's create some additional artboards. Window opens, then we go artboards, click on that, and we'll have artboards come to the front of layers, and now we can add a few more extra artboards, maybe an extra 2. Now we will have to create a copy. Select our drawing, go to Edit, Copy, otherwise go Command C, Command V, and we have a copy and paste. We are going to use the effects tool and make an extrusion, a 3D representation of this 2D drawing. To do this, we need to select a stroke color more appropriate for the extrusion. So I'm going to fill the shapes with white and the stroke with a grey. We now need to apply an effect over this two-dimensional drawing. So we go to Effect, 3D, Extrude. And in the window, we'll click Preview, and let's have a look. Oops, we've left out one step, so we now have to backtrack. Let's just cancel that. What we have to do is actually punch out a hole from this chair. We can't quite see, but that's a solid in the middle of the chair. Go to Window, Pathfinder. Now select the second of the Pathfinder modes, and this will knock out the middle. And now, if I can just show you by turning this to grey, you can see there's a hole in the, there you go. Now let's try that again. Let's return to the Effect tool, Extrude, and click on Preview. Then change the extrusion depth. Let's now go to Position and change the view to isometric left. We can also choose more options, and this will enable us to play around with the lighting. We have finished part 1. Now save your work. Okay, let's start with making a copy. Select the object, then Command C, Command V. Let's go to the Appearance palette now and see how we can refine our chair. You can select the stroke and the fill to change the tones of this chair. Now ready to work in a new document and to continue with the development of this chair drawing. Select and copy the chair, that is Command C, then go to File, New, and create a new document. Command V, that is Paste. Now we are ready to expand the extrusion effect. You may ask why we are bothering to do this. Remember, we are trying to make a poster in the style of Andre Chiote. Therefore, we know that his poster designs of architecture don't use subtle gradations of tone. In fact, they use abrupt shifts in tone. So we'll do the same. However, we may want to adjust the appearance of the tones before we expand. So let's make a copy and make a comparison between two different applications of tone. So we go back to the Appearance palette and just see what we can do. In the Effects palette, go to Preview first, then show more options, and play with the lighting and maybe also with the blending steps. We can now begin to explore a variety of compositions, And we can first begin by basically exploring scale. Once of course we've expanded the appearance of the thing. Okay, so remember, always hold down the shift key when you enlarge any object using this particular direct method. Otherwise you get a kind of disproportionate enlargement or reduction of scale. So we have our figure. Now we need to create some ground. First create a new layer, then drag that layer under the first. Double click on that layer and then rename. You can now also do the same with layer 1. Let's select some color for our background. Go to swatches, select the color, then go to the color guide and select the tint or a shade. Make certain you're on the ground layer. Select the rectangle tool, then click and drag within the boundaries of the artboard. You can now work with the upper portion using the same steps, and of course you can modify the colors. Now ungroup the selection. We may have to do this a couple of times. We're meant to be recreating the style of Andre Chiote, so it's important that we not use subtle gradations but abrupt shifts of tone or color values. This following process will be one of trial and error. You can now continue and experiment with the ground. Let's now create a new layer for our type, the title of the movement, the name of the designer, and the name of the design. Now select the type tool, and you'll notice above you've got a whole range of tools. Once you've chosen your font, just choose your font size and start typing once you've clicked into a spot that you want to begin in. Remember, you're exploring hierarchy, so you need to look at the two most important principles of design when it comes to hierarchy, and they are scale and contrast. We need to regroup all the shapes we ungrouped on the chair, so when we move it around later they'll all move together. Then save your work. Do this regularly. We've created a poster using the whole. We now need to create a poster looking at the part and detail. To do this, we need to explore a particular tool quite handy at cropping out excess detail. It's called a clipping mask. So let's create a clipping mask for this chair. We'll need to move our chair around and then play with scale and just locate it somewhere you think it may be interesting. I'm going to make it larger as well. Now select the rectangle tool and the stroke, no fill, then drag from the top corner to the bottom corner, and we have now a rectangle the size of the artboard. Lock the layers other than the chair and the rectangle. Select the chair and the rectangle, then right click, make clipping mask, and voila! If you're not happy with that result, just go Command Z and try something new. You may also right click and release clipping mask. Here you can start exploring the possibilities of things such as scale and position, alignment of variety of elements, the scale of things, the color of things. They can all change. Just experiment, and that way you'll work through the other two compositions in terms of part and detail. You may also want to play around with the type. Rather than using a straight line, you may want to create a vector, a line, and apply the text to that curved line if you wish, as I have here. I hope now you can understand how important Illustrator is as a tool to use in visual communication design, and how easy and quick it is to develop concepts.